Hi, I'm Richard Bucknall, and some of you might know me better as Rich from Planet PE, and we're going to have a quick look at a topic that we're finding students are struggling on some of the low stakes tests and also into the exams, and really quickly about the musculoskeletal system. So that is how the muscles and the bones basically work as a unit for us to be able to try and move. So what we're finding is that they don't necessarily quite get all the time some of the things that need to understand. So let's start with how we move. So we understand that muscles pull on bones. That's a mark in the exam, by the way. Always teach them that. Well, how does that happen? Well, really simply, that we know that muscles attach to bones via tendons, and it's the muscle pulling on the bone that then is connected to the tendon. So actually, it's pulling on the tendon, which is then connected to the bone. So that idea that we're going to have movement because we've got the muscle, we've got the tendon, we've got the bone, it pulls to create movement. They can never push. Now, once they understand that, they've got to understand the fact that, well, we're in a position, I've got to get back into flexion, for instance, so I need another muscle to pull. So we've got this idea of antagonistic pairs. So one of the things that is really important that they understand is which pair goes with which, where they are on the body. So again, one of the real quick things that you can do, and again, using things like Educake and using other things that are out there, is just try and get them to understand where the bones are, but where the muscles are. So where is it that is going to be creating the movement? Okay, generally it's the muscle which is above the joint. So think about my elbows moving, it's the bicep. Okay, when we think about the knee moving, it's the quadriceps and the hamstring. Again, it's just little things like that that might just support them. So understanding the antagonistic pairs. So we've got obviously the bicep and tricep, we've got the quadriceps, we've got the hamstrings, we've got the tibialis anterior, we've got the gastrocnemius. So understanding those pairs is really helpful, and then understand which is the prime mover for it. So one of the things that I've always done in there is try to create a bit of a model with it. So just simple things about using a drawing pin, using some paper. Well, if we were going to move it, do we move the top, do we move the bottom? Just trying to understand things like that. I've also had in lessons where we've used post-its, and we've simply just stick it up people and think, well, okay, if you're going to create a movement, which one is it? They can just point to where that was, so they can understand the movement, to then develop the language as we go. So, the more physical it is in the classroom, I always find that students get more and more from it. So that would be my suggestion there, is really focusing on how we move. So the fact that we pull on the tendon, which pulls on the bone. Muscles can't push, they can only pull. They come in antagonistic pairs where one of the agonists, one's the antagonist. And again, an easy way to think about that is agonist is the shorter word. That's the muscle that's generally shortening you. And then we've got obviously the different types of movement that happen as well. So the fact we've got isometric and isotonic contraction, and understanding that obviously isometric we're going to be remaining in the same position. So if they're talking about a position being held, having a sporting example that goes with that. So for instance, the crucifix in the gymnastics where they're holding that position and there's no movement going on. A handstand, the point in a rugby scrum where they're holding a position and there's no movement going on. So if students can understand with those isometric contractions that there's no movement going on, it's something that's easy, but they've got to have the sporting example that goes with it. So really focus on the language, focus on them understanding those simple things about where the bones and the muscles are, and then how the muscles then pull on the bone to create particular movements. So a few things in there, and hopefully that's helpful.